gonna go to an event that we call Business Link.
That's right. Looking
yes.
forward to it.
Yes. And it will be happening in business school, in Moscow Business School, and it's our 5th event. So maybe you can say a few words why we're doing it and what psychology can contribute to business, why business and why they come together.
Well, it's a big question because business frequently, or well, I should say organizational development, because we don't just work on business questions only. We also work with government people, sometimes show up in the business school, leaders of non-profit groups, and so like organizational, how is psychology connected to organizational development, but then important, and how can it contribute to business? Business, in the mind of many people, is connected to making money, and that is a normal view, especially of non-business people. It's in the business too. And an entrepreneur, the original meaning of an entrepreneur, wasn't a person who was going to make money. The definition of an entrepreneur is a person who takes responsibility for her or his vision. So an entrepreneur meant that you were a person, a woman or a man, who had a vision or an idea and took responsibility for it and then made it happen yourself. So in my mind, business itself is a creative incarnation of ideas and thoughts of how to contribute to making life easier. In that sense, psychology is an attempt to make life easier for people in terms of our inner life, and a lot of business approaches are meant to make our life easier in terms of outer life. So, having said that, the strict separation of business and psychology, in my mind, is quite accurate. But in addition to that, we are also learning now that relationships and teamwork, how to think about larger connections, how to think about network, becomes more and more important in business. And business today is really a stakeholder dialogue process. I think modern business people, good cutting-edge modern business people, don't think anymore in the old-fashioned way of I'm here and the world is my enemy, but I'm here in a world of stakeholders. How do I facilitate and negotiate consensus, collaboration, and looking for joint future while having the fun of competing? Not other than psychologists, if I may say.
Thank you. Yeah, Max. So what do you think process work then can contribute to leadership, organizational work, and business?
Well, now this is itself a 10-hour question. But one of the big things in business today is, as you know, complex system theory. They're looking at today in business and organizational development. Everybody's trying to look at the whole system information. And there is a couple of really new good leadership ideas out there that use complex system or non-linear dynamics. Another more popular term for that is chaos theory, and similar approaches how to understand organizations and business. And process work and deep democracy, in my mind, has a great contribution there. Because first of all, we work with the information of the whole system. And I'm getting so excited that it's going so fast. And because we work with several levels, meaning we have the consensus, reality, fact levels. We have a parallel world of subjective experiences, which is how do I actually experience a measured fact? What does that mean? Well, I can, in business, have an idea that at the moment I don't see yet what is going to be the measurable results for it, but I can have a big excitement and a big vision for it. No different than spiritual leaders at times have had or social activists have had. Now, my excitement for an idea is also a sort of capital. It just can't be measured yet. And then there is an essence level, that's the very core. And as you know, there's a few articles out also that I've written about how each organization itself is not only created by people, but the thought and the concept or the core of the organization was there to begin with, and it sort of drafts the people like in an army. You get like drafted by an idea that then you're supposed to create, like you're drafted. The organizational idea is there first, like Deep Democracy Institute was there before there was me and you, Ellen and Stanford and all the other people, and it drafts people in it that get excited by it, and then it sort of makes it happen. So these are the three levels that we use: consensus reality, and then a dream-like emerging reality, and then an essence level or a core level that we work with. So this allows us to see that as parallel worlds we can work really well with the entire information in the system. And on top of that, quantum mechanics says that pretending that you have a fixed observer looking at a system does no longer work, but the system and the observer itself are actually an inseparable, entangled entity. What does that mean in plain terms? That means like you think you're in a boat and you're looking at the complex system of your organization, which is like all the waves and the currents and the big waves and the small waves, and you're trying to get a sense of what's happening, not realizing that you yourself are actually also in a boat that goes up and down. So the wave that you see is not just an objective measured wave, but it depends on how high or how low your boat is. If you wake up in the morning and you're tired and depressed, your organization won't look at you as good as if you are happy, thrilled, and understand the meaning of what you are doing. So that's a direct analogy. The wave looks different depending where you are in your boat. So we use inner work as a key method to access your own being in that whole system, but also to use it to get information about the whole system. So these are just so inner work, the ability to understand the various waves, how they are entangled, and facilitate the stakeholder process about it. Those are just a few basic concepts that I think have really proved to be valuable for business, as you know, in our practice, in our consulting practice.
Maybe you can say a few words about leadership also. How can process work contribute to leadership? What's the what leader means in the process of terms?
Well, modern leadership, in my mind, classical leadership, was around the idea that you have a person, so to speak, who is, or a person or a group of persons who are walking sort of like in an army, who are walking in the beginning, and they are being followed by a group of other people, like a widening group of other people, and that the ones in the front, or I should say on top, have the insights and ideas that then have to filter down to the bottom to make things happen. And I think we and other schools too believe that that has changed. Maybe that was part of a time spirit then, but today leadership has a lot to do with what we call in facilitation consensus, or what in business I would call ownership. The big issue is how can the people that you work with, how can you grow and support the sense of ownership for what's happening. So with other words, that people feel I am my organization, and not I come at 9 o'clock to work for an organization. And that is all about consensus and stakeholder facilitation. And that's where we contribute. For example, as you know, we are now in connection with the GIZ, which is an enterprise from the German federal government that is all over the world with over 120 different groups. And we collaborate with them across North Africa and the Middle East in a leadership training, because the EU governments are starting to see that maybe deep democracy could be an important approach, because how do you lead? It's not just anymore a question, how strong are you, how good your ideas are, but how strong are you, how good are your ideas, and how are you able to collaborate with all those factions in a quickly changing world. Used to be that the world would move much slower. So all of this could happen in a much more easygoing way. But today everything is moving so fast. You need to facilitate and make faster all these various stakeholder opinions.
Thank you. So I know that process work is known for the depth and for spiritual aspect, and work with the deep level a lot. What would you tell a person who tells you that working with business is not deep, it's shallow? What would you tell to a person who thinks it's not spiritual or not deep enough?
Well, I would say to that person, I think that's correct for you. So please stay away from business, because they're going to feel your attitude, and it's not going to be a happy relationship. This business is not different than anybody else. The moment you start to feel this is no longer the real thing, right? You're running an issue. That's an issue, by the way, of what spiritual movements, which is a slight downing of everyday reality, for example, and organizational life and things like that. So I understand that, and the fact that all those various directions are partially feel they are better than other groups is an important factor, because it helps their pride and their sense of great things that they are doing. And spiritual groups need that more than anybody else, because they don't have the value and the support that they really deserve, in my mind.
Thank you.
So I understand the viewpoint. Now I have to say, because I love working with businesses and organizations, I have to say I have the luck in my life to have worked with spiritual groups, Christian groups, Japanese Zen groups, and I feel my experiences in working with software companies or non-profit groups or a Japanese Zen group or an Australian Aboriginal group, all communities, when they try to understand the spirit that moves them, businesses are communities too, have deep, very touching and very deep experiences that are unique. And I'm just thrilled and happy to have had the opportunity to work with so many communities with different, different missions or frames, how they're framed differently. I want to say that. And then I want to say Deep Democracy and the Deep Democracy Institute, we're, in my mind, quite unique, because we love science. We think quantum mechanics and Arnold Medel's approach to quantum mechanics and psychology is amazing, unique, and fantastic. That's why we are publishing now Quantum Mind, and proudly so. We also have a great interest in just traditional business development, and we like number crunching and consulting number crunching parts. But we also have a great interest in psychology, psychological relationships, teamwork, and facilitation. And all of us, less known, have a great interest in shamanism. Shamanism is an old traditional approach which is partially meant to connect to the unseeable world. What that means is hidden structure, chaos theory, hidden structure. But what this also means is Carlos Castaneda's Don Juan is one of our teachers, and I would say to that person, Don Juan still remains one of my great teachers when he said to Castaneda, in order for a world to show its true secrets, you have to love it. So, if you don't love the business world and organizational world, forget the people in it, it will never show you its true magnificence, its true depth, and its true part of the divine creation.